Welcome back, everybody. Sport Federation TV. We, of course, as you know, talk about sport in the province. And we keep talking about sport in the province. And it's been, well, certainly the last few weeks a breath of fresh air flowing along a lot of the sport codes as they've slowly returned to training according to the regulations, of course, that have been issued. And in some cases, some sport codes are moving towards competition, also against the, according to the regulations that have been issued. But a sport that's been going for quite a while now and moving forward in South Africa and has got multiple disciplines is, of course, shooting. And to tell me more about shooting in the Western Cape, we've got the president of Western Cape Shooting on the line with us, Karina De Beer. Karina, fantastic to see you. How are things there with you?
Hi, JP. No, everything is fine. Thank you.
Karina, we've obviously had you in the studio on a number of occasions. We've interviewed you and a few folks from shooting also on a number of occasions, but we've always been focusing on the different codes. Like, for example, you are a world champion in black powder shooting, and then we've had other guests on the show who are doing things like hunting rifle shooting or practical shooting or pistol shooting. There's so many different shooting codes. It sounds to me that you've put it all in one bundle here now as SASCO.
Yes, we have. There was actually a request, or more like SASCOC wanted all the different sports codes to be under one umbrella body. And our national umbrella body is SASCO, which is South African Shooting Sport Confederation. And what they've been doing is now for the different provinces and also for the different districts to establish similar structures so that all the different federations can affiliate to a district structure or to a provincial structure.
All right, so just tell us a little bit about some of the codes. Did I miss any, or because I rattled through them so quickly? But there's quite a few shooting codes.
Yes, so at the moment, the SASCO for the Cape Town district, we have affiliates, the black powder, which was always one on its own. We have the Pistol Federation, we've got air rifle, we've got practical shooting, we have precision rifle, we have hunting rifle, and there are a number of other federations that are also in the process of affiliating to the SASCO, the mini SASCOs as we call them.
But now, in that vein, one of the things I've often wondered about is yourself. You're a specialist in black powder shooting, and you shoot at a long distance. But the hunting rifle athletes also shoot at a long distance. Are you able to do each other's sports? Are you able to cross over, or is it very different?
It's going to be very difficult because the type of shooting is different. The hunting rifle, they do a bench rest type of shooting. The black powder and the Bisley do the prone Bisley type shooting. Also with the targets, the hunting rifle people, although they shoot maybe the same distances, maybe even longer, they have different targets. They have static targets, where the Bisley type shooting has, where we have the shooting butts, where somebody is manually operating the target from the butts. Yeah. Also, they use telescopes, which we don't use. So it's a little bit different.
Karina, but tell us a little bit about the athletes. COVID has, of course, been very difficult for everybody. It's been a year of sports submissions, having to put in and approvals from government and approvals from national structures. How's it been going for the shooting codes under the new COVID regulations?
So we were fortunate in the sense that we applied fairly early to the Minister of Sport through SASCO National, and shooting sport got permission to start shooting again the beginning of September of 2020. That's right. So we've been shooting since then, but there are strict regulations connected to that. Yeah. There are only a certain number of people that are allowed per event. We were not allowed to hold any competitions. Towards the end of last year, in November, some of the major events were held again, but with a very limited number of entries. Some of the international or even some of the national events were cancelled or postponed. So for 2021, we are still waiting. Some of the big events that have been planned for the beginning of the year has been either postponed until, let's say, August or even to next year. So we have been busy, we have been able to participate, but not on a competition level.
I would imagine also that if we look at the shooting disciplines, it comes fairly naturally to shooting, and it's actually built into your sport even before COVID, very strict regulations about how you have to operate on a shooting range or deal with firearms, and these regulations probably already help your sport structure to deal with COVID.
Yes, so shooting as such as a sport is a very disciplined kind of sport. So with the COVID, we did submit policies and regulations and things that, with sanitizing and registers and all the things that the minister asked of us. So we did institute that, but it was not really, it was just an extra little bit of paperwork really to get into, but the discipline is definitely there. It is a structured sport, so it was not that much of an adjustment to get back and comply to COVID.
Has that maybe been a concern if we look at the gyms, for example? The gyms are having to spray equipment, and a lot of the equipment is metals. So from an equipment point of view, one is worried about rust and equipment degrading. In the firearm space, if you're sanitizing with alcohol, firearms, or at least your equipment, is there an equipment concern about how these sanitization products might impact the equipment?
Not really. So we spray, and obviously being an alcohol based, it would evaporate quite quickly. Right. And with a lot of the things being not metal, I mean, some of it is wood, some of it is plastic. So the rifle itself, you're not going to spray your barrel, because that's not a part that you touch. So you will spray the stock and maybe the spotting scopes and those things. If it is too much, I mean, if it doesn't evaporate quick enough, people just wipe it off.
So you guys are able to get back to the range, you're able to train. Is there competitive training now, or is it more social training?
There is certain groups that are preparing for World Championships next year. So obviously that is very competitive training. Other groups are still shooting league and those things. So they also, chasing scores and performance and those things. Only certain shooting ranges are open again. The military range that we use for long range at Atlantis is one of, I think, only 3 military ranges in the country that has allowed the civilian clubs to resume shooting. Right. So we're in a very fortunate position on that note. But there are obviously the casual shooters, but there are definitely competitive training at the moment going on as well.
So, Karina, if there are people watching the show right now, or even after the show on YouTube, if people want to join, they want to get started doing any one of these codes, from black powder shooting to air rifle and all the other codes that you've mentioned, how do they get involved? Can they join a club?
Yes, so we have a website for SASCO Western Cape, and it's called sasco-westerncape.co.za. So on that, we have built in the different districts, and per district we have the federations that are affiliated. So my email is there, the rest of the EXCO's email addresses are there. Anyone can just email us and ask us, this is my chosen sport, can you accommodate us somewhere, and we will direct them into the right direction.
That's fantastic. Hopefully you get lots of people joining your structures. We're looking forward to that.
I hope so, yes.
Corena, we'll leave it at that, and we'll of course say thanks for joining us, and we pass on our very best wishes to all of the athletes out there and all the district structures, and say stay safe during these difficult times, and well done for carrying on shooting, put it that way.
We are very fortunate. Thank you, JP.
There we go, folks. Karina De Beer, of course, president of Western Cape SASCO, which is the amalgamation of all of the shooting codes according to the regulations in South Africa, where everybody falls in under a national, official, legitimate structure. And I think that when we're talking about shooting, it's very important that you make sure that you deal with only official, legitimate structures. Folks, we'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we'll carry on talking about sport in the province. Back in a sec.